Yeah, I think like you know, mushrooms are really helpful just seeing, you know,
Yeah.
going deep enough just to see. And I think when you see, you can't really unsee. It's like part of your life and part of your experience.
Right.
And I think people just need to see, like, when it comes to addiction, the benefits of what that life looks like on the other side and the detriments and how it's affecting people. And we see that a lot in the reflection of people going through that addiction overcoming process, is that they see from the different perspectives of how their choices are affecting their life. And when the mind understands that and doesn't look through that very like single pointed way, the mind just naturally has a tendency to change, because it's a very much like a qualitative and qualitative machine. It wants to feel good and wants to do good ultimately for itself and for others ultimately as well.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever and wherever you are watching or listening. This is the Holistic Monitor, and I'm your host, Nic Scogna. The Holistic Monitor is a wellness podcast featuring life energy research, health and wellness transformation, self-improvement and empowerment, philosophy, spirituality, and now guest interviews as well. We look forward to your comments on our YouTube channel at Holistic Monitor, and you can also listen on the go with us at Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and more. And with that, let's get today's show started. All right. Andrew Tansil,
Yeah, that's it.
you work as an co-owner for a retreat in Mexico
Yeah.
that offers a very unique method for people to um, have a new experience in their lives. I understand that it involves psilocybin. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we do psilocybin therapy infused with other types of really proven therapies like breath work, ice bath, yoga, meditation, those sort of things as well.
Okay. It's a full holistic approach
For
to
sure. Yeah.
wellness. Okay. Do you focus on bringing in specific um, people, as in addictions or any kind of specific focus for the space, or is it more on a spiritual prospect, like an aspect for people to find more out about themselves
For
as
sure.
an individual basis, or is it the whole gamut?
I would say only about 10% of people find us for addiction. Usually that's alcohol, opiate, or we just had recently somebody graduate, I think today, for like a nicotine thing.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly it's people with depression and anxiety looking to overcome that. And a lot of PTSD. That's 80% of our client base. And
Okay.
then, I think a lot of people come back afterwards for like the next level spiritually and that kind of next step in their life, so to speak.
Right. Kind of extend the potency of the experience.
Yeah, for sure. Just take it to the next level. Yeah.
Yeah. And what is the name of the retreat?
So Sayulita Wellness Retreat. It's the town we originated from. We kind of outgrew, but it's a beautiful place and a beautiful name, so we stuck with it.
Yeah. And that's in Mexico?
Yep, that's in
Okay.
Mexico. It's right outside Puerto Vallarta,
That's
about 3
is that the
hours.
west? That's the west
Yeah,
side?
that's on the
Okay.
western coast. Yeah, it's about 3 hours from like most southern states for a flight.
Right. Oh, a 3 hour flight.
Yeah,
Okay. That's not bad at all.
yeah, it's not bad.
And how long has the retreat been running?
So we've been in business for over 10 years and had over like 10,107 successful patients over this 10-year span. And then I hopped on board about 2 years ago and joined the forces.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. And a lot of great successes
Yeah, definitely. It's
through the
been it's
methods.
been I mean the most fulfilling journey.
Yeah.
Um, it's just helping people just break through the same thing that, like, I'm just, my backstory is like I invested over 120 grand in hospital bills trying to fix anxiety and
Hmm.
just much more than that, and like, coaches, psychotherapists, and other things like that over 10 years. And I answered an Instagram ad because I was down in Mexico over COVID, and
Hmm.
like went to this retreat and just like solved it, like it
Yeah.
literally just melted that deep pain and that deep suffering away. And I was just standing there like, what do I do next? I'd lived
Yeah.
my whole life, with this suffering, and I literally was like, what should I do now? Because like so much of my motivation had come from going away from that pain, and now I
Right.
was like, like had this base level, and the answer was just like, oh, I just want to give other people this gift, and find other people that can, use these benefits, and find this transformation and get the same use out of it that I did.
Right. Yeah. Fantastic. So outreach, basically,
Exactly. Yeah.
get it to more people.
Yeah.
If you had a guest, what would their typical process be as far as arrival and what they would experience?
For sure. We have like a 4-week preparation course that everybody takes before they come on board, because psilocybin's a new word for a lot of people, and the experience is obviously a mystery to most
Hmm.
of our clients are first timers. And so they're coming from all walks of life. And so we have this like preparation course to go through every phase of what it's going to look like, what the expectations can be, and like what you can do to have a really successful experience while you're here. And then upon arrival, we do like private transportation to and from the airport. We have like a huge gated facility we're at. And so we do like this onboarding thing where it's intention setting, and everybody comes together and does a little meet and greet. And then we do like usually massages. So everybody gets relaxed like the first day, like
That's the
going
way to
into a
do
new experience.
it.
And then usually like one of the therapies, like hypnotherapy or sound therapy, to kind of get everybody grounded the first night. And yeah, that's what onboarding looks like.
Yeah. And what kind of length of stay would be a normal or average um, for a guest?
For sure. I think most of our patients recently are busy professionals, people with families, people that have a lot of stuff going on. So we have a 4-day and we have a 7-day. I think most people recently have been going for the 4-day
Hmm.
because they get the same result and you just get it in a shorter period of time. And so I think people go for that because of that value that they can get, and like not having to be separated from their families and that sort of thing. And people have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of lawyers come down, you know,
Right. Yeah.
and
Busy. Yeah.
and
Scheduling and all that.
and yeah, exactly, and kind of getting away is a challenge. So
Yeah. And so, what range of modalities do you utilize there? What kind of things do you access to help the guest out?
yeah, for sure. We have a number of different things, like breath work, different types of yoga, Kriya yoga, Kundalini, um, and sound therapy, hypnotherapy. Like traditional psychotherapy is a really big part of the whole experience. We have breakthrough sessions throughout the week. And we also have like psychotherapists build an action plan. And so you can implement it after you go back home, like
Hmm.
the new realizations, the commitments that you make while you're at the retreat. And then that same psychotherapist works with you to hold you accountable and keep you, on that path for you to like cement that progress that you make at the retreat after you go back home. So
Right.
that's a big part of it. And then we do like Wim Hof breath work. We do ice baths, and like I think a big part isn't necessarily therapy, but we have anti-inflammatory menu,
Hmm.
and that's really big for detoxing the body. And a lot of people are kind of unfamiliar with like the positive benefits of that, but like
Right.
anxiety and depression, anxiety starts in the gut because that's where your serotonin is produced. And so
Hmm.
eating an anti-inflammatory diet helps you really balance your gut out, which helps you increase your serotonin, which makes you like overall happier and balanced person. And so people find that like throughout the week, eating that diet has really stabilizes like their mind, and they're able to like see much more clearly in life. And I think that's a big supportive element, even though it's not like a type of therapy, but it's definitely something that's like therapeutic. And I think it helps people really progress even further. And a lot of people stick with the diet after they go back home as well.
Right. Starting in a nutritional basis and alkalines and turmeric and that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Just try and stick with something that's going to neutralize the acids and then so diet would be basically one of the core components. I would say in most therapies that are successful, they're going to involve the gut health.
yeah,
That seems to be a pretty good course of action, good
yeah.
direction to go because it's so much. If you can isolate a person, as in with a retreat, from their normal patterns and then take away those sugars and those
Hmm.
things that might actually be causing them a lot of havoc in their life without even knowing it, and then implement this other food that's going to help
Yeah.
support a healthy system. I mean, right there, that's worth a visit right there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we got like the spoonful of sugar to go with that, that diet. Is like we have just the most wonderful chef, and everybody wants to take her home.
Yeah, yeah. Come
And it's
back
like
with me. Yeah.
I just got back yesterday. I went down for a retreat. We're shooting a documentary,
Okay.
and like we just crack up because like so many of the guests tell us that like even in the testimonials that their favorite parts of the food, right? And like
Yeah.
they come down, they have a lifetime of transformation, and then like and I joke around because like all the therapists just like have like a sad face, like they're like, dang man, I put all this work in, like helping make all this progress, and like Chef Laura is like one of our all-star chefs, and she's just like just keeps making everybody so happy with the
That's
food and
great.
stuff. As long as you
Yeah,
make it
fantastic.
good, like I think you can feed people anything,
Yeah, as long as it tastes good,
Exactly.
and so the diet changes for them immediately within the course of the time that they're there. They're eating that
Yeah.
kind of diet,
Yeah, and
and
it's
then
got a
they're
lot of variety in it too. It's like vegan and pescatarian, like,
mhm.
Asian, Mexican, all these different types. And so you get to try a lot of things.
And it form fits to a person's allergies and all that sort of thing as well.
Oh man, we basically cut out gluten. Like there's so many like food allergies and sensitivities now. We've just kind of like there's no dairy, there's no gluten.
Right. Those are
'Cause like
inflammatory as well, right?
yeah, exactly. And so
Yeah.
it's just like basically cutting out like everything that is like the common sensitivities because it's like 20-30% of people have those these days, and so you just kind of have to be very cautious and
Right.
like preventative when it comes to that. So
Yeah. Whole foods, that kind of
100%
thing.
whole foods, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as the modalities for body work, massage, you have a chiropractor there, that sort of thing,
Yeah, we've had
adjustments.
chiropractors. We do like different types of massage, the deep tissue and the relaxation, and then some of our massage do therapy, or excuse me, do Reiki as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Your therapists, do they live on site? Are they visiting? What kind of how do they get started with this retreat?
Yeah, for sure. So we've had two from UK. Our psychologist right now is from UK,
Mm-hmm.
and our psychotherapist, he's local actually. He's like a diamond in the rough. We found him. He's just a couple towns over,
Okay.
and like he's one of our just absolute, I mean, angels. I mean, he's worked with kind of everybody in his life, and he has like we have to select people that have really helped people overcome almost like all of the major issues like addiction, PTSD, depression, treatment resistant depression, even bipolar disorder and things along that, because we have such a diverse group of clients that come through.
Yeah.
It's like they have to be qualified and they have to be able to like cover all those bases of the typical problems that people have so they can support them in that journey. And most psychotherapists are specialists in that they kind of deal with addiction, or they deal with a specific age range, or specific like client with a specific set of problems. And so we kind of have to interview a lot of people until we find the right ones that have that skill set that can really cover like that broad bandwidth of what people are going through that come to these types of retreats.
Right. Right. And would that person also be working with dosage as far as the psychoactives go?
For sure. So we do the dosage with our providers, and that's dependent on like a number of factors. Like body weight's a big factor.
Right.
Tolerance is a factor as well. And so like on the first day, they try a microdose and they're able to
Mm.
kind of see their sensitivity to the medicine,
Yeah.
and without actually going into like a full psychedelic experience. And then also, the type of experience they're looking to have as far as like what they're trying to transform also
Right.
affects their dosing. If they want to like we have a lot of veterans come down that have like complex PTSD, treatment resistant depression, and are like kind of at a place of suicidal ideation.
Right.
And a lot of these guys are like bigger guys too. And so like it's common for them to have like 5 or 7 gram doses, which is a really high dose.
Yeah.
But it really helps them like kind of break through those like thicker levels that have just not been been kind of resistant to change over some time. And if
Mm-hmm.
somebody is looking for just like that spiritual journey, or that kind of that vision or that clarity for the next steps, they might not need a higher dose. And so it comes down to like we do like an interview and a consultation to really help dial in the dose, and we kind
Right.
of get really clear on what the results are. And then during the experience, if they want to take a higher dose after the kind of like experience like 2 hours around that line, then they can take it to the next level, and that's like their personal choice as well.
Right. Right. So you have to take all the factors in.
There's a lot of factors,
Um,
yeah.
now, I know myself, when I was young, I loved to do mushrooms. It was one of my favorite
Yeah.
psychedelics. It was much more on a recreational basis, and
Mhm.
um, I think I had a breakthrough, and that's probably why I enjoyed doing them afterward, because I had a breakthrough with them. They helped me through my personal dilemmas and, struggles. And I think
Yeah.
that's what kind of, addicted me to it. Was like, oh, I got this off of this, and I should keep doing it to kind of maintain that. But I really
Yeah.
didn't need to. But
Yeah.
of course, young and it was around, so
Yeah.
it was fun. But um, I stopped doing everything, partly due to a really long period of time that I was doing mushrooms. I took I guess it was a microdose. It was, a minimal amount for about a month, and the results weren't exactly what I had anticipated. Do you, when you're doing a 4 day um, workup with somebody, or an 8 day, or even longer, do you have a specific method, or is there a specific protocol as far as the amount of times that they would do a psychedelic, or a specific therapy? Like, are they getting massages every day, or is it something that you kind of say on, off, on, off?
For sure. So with the body work part, it's about really calibrating. A lot of our clients are been in the 70s and stuff like that, and so
Hmm.
they're not ready for like calisthenics, yoga,
Right.
it's the whole massage and like over and over and repeat. And so all of our therapies that we offer are like optional as well, and so like you don't have to go through them, but we offer like a spectrum that like for the 4 day, it's like active, but it's not like overwhelming
Hmm.
for like the physical side. And so it's like really relaxing. Everyone has like reflection time to really just kind of spend that time with themselves and, deepening that connection in between like the activities and that sort of thing. And so it's really balanced schedule that we have laid out. And as
Yeah.
far as like the medicine and the treatments, the macrodose is, like you mentioned, it's like kind of all encompassing. Like you don't really need that like second macro dose, or
Right.
that and it's not something you really need to continue. Like my macros when I joined the business, right?
Yeah.
And I just haven't even felt called to like do a macro, and and it, and then like I tried one, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it was just a reminder. It was like, hey, like we
You don't
give
need to
you
do this.
everything.
Yeah.
It was like a finger pointed, like go live your life. I was like, okay, cool. Like I
Yeah.
appreciate life. I'm
Right.
grateful for everything, and that was that's years later,
Yeah.
and so like that's my belief is like when you really go deep enough and do a macro that you get everything you need. And so we support like the rest of the journey with micro doses, and so that
Yeah.
really helps me reconnect with the medicine, and then helps that continuation of that teaching and that learning and that connection with the emotions
Hmm.
continue to support and continue to make progress with that journey of the macrodose. And I think it's really beneficial, especially the continuation of microdosing for a lot of our patients has been like just awesome results, just incredible results. And
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people are growing their own, and
Right. Yeah.
doing the thing now that things are kind of opening up with the legalization. So
Yeah.
it's been great. But yeah, I mean, the macro is such a powerful experience. You do have to take that time to integrate and reflect,
Yeah.
and yeah, this is a super important part. Yeah,
Yeah. I'd say that's where the most benefit is, to give it some time, space
for
between,
sure.
because there's a lot of like the downloads happen, and you need to let the systems get reinstalled and re-upped, and
Yeah,
figure out where you're at. You left the planet, now you're back.
yeah, the nervous system reset. Yeah,
Yeah.
I go for a run. I was just like just
Yeah.
let it out. Yeah,
Right. Right. I mean, and that's a surprising thing, is that you know you're accessing a certain part of yourself that can then be accessed through other means. But you sometimes need to find where those tools are. How do I want to feel at the the day three. Like, how do I want to come out of this?
Yeah.
And that can be achieved in a lot of ways. And I think it takes a long time for people to get like that they don't need the tool to actually achieve it. They just need to know that it's achievable, get that vibe, get that feeling, and then they can, rinse and repeat whatever other method that would be good. Running is a great way to do it. Are you, so you're constantly have people coming down? It's seasonally, it's very good down there. Is it a year round facility?
Yeah, we don't really have a dip in when people want to come down. We have a spike around like December and New Year's because I think people always want to come to Mexico and go on holiday.
Yeah, holiday, yeah.
And so we call that like holiday season. And
Mm-hmm.
but like for the rest of the year, we're right on the coast, and so the water is
Mm-hmm.
actually really cool where we're at because we're pretty farther north. And
Yeah,
so we have like perpetual like 70s and 80s and sunshine 300 days a year. And so it's a really great spot to just. It doesn't really have like like I've never been up there and it's been 100 degrees. It's so much hotter where I'm from Missouri. It's so much hotter in
oh
the summer
yeah,
there. You know, I'm
oh
just like
yeah, the
when
humidity.
I went, yeah, yeah. And so I don't I like it hot personally, and so yeah, there's
Yeah,
absolutely no problem for like just having it open all year round. Plus with like $4 million penthouse, it's just air conditioners, it's
yeah.
gorgeous. It's like all the walls are windows. It's just I mean you get to experience all of it and a cool breeze like perpetually from the ocean. So
Right, you get that ocean breeze. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So we don't. Yeah, we stay open all year round, and the problems we're solving are perpetual as well. So
yeah.
people,
Well,
especially in the
yeah,
U.S., are depressed, and it's just a one-time solution for breaking through and seeing the other side of life and putting that past behind you. So it's just.
yeah,
I think we stay busy.
yeah. That's good. And as far as legality in Mexico, is it not listed? It's not a thing.
Well, it's protected in
It's
Mexico.
protected.
So,
Okay.
yeah, both my partners are from indigenous tribes originally here in Mexico. They, left those tribes. They created an incredible life for themselves, like in the Western world. They both lived in the States and eventually came back and started doing these treatments, I think like 14 years ago. And they formed the business, and it kind of makes sense to kind of grow this thing. And it just really took off for them. And so the way Mexico works is they have protection for like mushrooms or these psychedelics being used for spiritual or religious purposes. And because they're grandfathered in, like literally my partner Nirvana's grandfather's a shaman here in Mexico. So,
Oh, okay.
it's one of those things that we're protected like by the Mexican laws to continue these
Oh,
practices.
that's fantastic. So
Yeah.
you're under like a religious exemption kind of
Yeah.
clause? Yeah, or spiritual, religious, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same thing. Yeah.
I know there's something similar to that with peyote. I know that a lot is happening in the states. I
Yeah.
can't keep up with the different locations. It's a lot of regional or
Yeah.
city ordinances that are changing. I
Exactly.
comes to mind is like San Jose, I think, California, which has, I guess, everything that's organic. They've just legalized, but I could be completely wrong. So nobody listen to me and look it up. But there's a lot of different areas that are
Yeah.
having adjustments. Colorado, the western states. And then, of course, there's a few states that are real strong holdouts for being very illegal, and you know,
Yeah.
um, you get a lot of people, what you would call maybe spiritual refugees from the states that are looking to get an experience and do it in a legal way, coming from a place where it's taboo.
I mean, I think that's where most of our business comes from. Is like
Yeah,
the States, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand. People are looking for a solid solution. We have a medical staff. We have obviously professionally trained psychotherapists. We have an incredible system, facility, and support team. So people are looking for that level and those layers of security to go through this process instead of doing this like on their own
right.
or doing it like in a cabin in the woods or something somewhere. And And that's good because, when you do it with like that system and the support, then you're going to get the result, and we're very results focused. And like we wouldn't exist if you could just, do this in a cabin in the woods and get the same result, like,
Right, right,
and we have so many living examples of that. And so, yeah, I think most of our patients do come because of the legality and just the lack of like support of, like doing these types of treatments in a controlled setting.
right. Controlled setting. That's very
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that seems to be becoming a theme that I'm finding in these interviews on this show is that, and something that I'm a big fan of because um, I did a lot of, teacherless journeying myself and,
Yeah.
finding out the hard way of certain things, you
Yeah.
ways not to do things. And, if you look at it in more of a traditional sense, you have a peyote circle. There's a bunch of
Yeah.
people there involved in the journey, whether you're a novice or a veteran into it. Um, I would imagine with ancient mushroom cultures was very similar. That it would be guided through a shaman or somebody that been there, done that. Most things seem to have a source within a support system of doing it, so that there's not a whole lot of unknowns happening. And if there's an unknown, you can ask and say, "What was that? What was that weird
Yeah.
light or whatever?"
Yeah.
And you can get some guidance as to how that might be relevant to your own journey.
Yeah.
From a teacher. So
Yeah.
that's really great. I love that that's part of the support system. That there's
Yeah.
a way for people to have the experience, but also have somebody to talk to counsel with, and
Yeah.
on a specific. This is what I did. This is what I experienced. One of the things that's really lacking with a lot of modern mainline psychotherapy is just that awareness of what the person's going through when they're doing a psychoactive.
Yeah.
Just having a knowledge basis on, well, this is a method. This does create a certain thing, and it helps people in a certain way. And maybe there's new courses out, and I feel like there should be, for the mainstream uh, therapists to be able to approach people within aspects of psychotherapy that involves psychoactive drugs. Even pot could be that for somebody. You know.
Yeah. And I think the biggest part, and I'm super passionate about this, is just preparation,
Yeah.
because like, so many of like my experiences going into these things first time is didn't know how to deal with the things that were popping up. And like those journeys, there's like, five major things you got to understand how to deal with when you go through that,
Right.
like what to do when you're confronted with emotion, like what an ego death is and how to navigate that. And just what the meaning of these journeys are overall. It's more like a mirror or a reflection. It's not like a
Right.
permanent thing. And so it's there to show you like the path where you're at and like the present moment. And so you can change everything that happens in those experiences. And so it's something that I think just that education is a big thing that we take to heart, and we implement it through the preparation course, and create a lot of content on that for like our just a general community, because like when like going into that journey what you're going to face and how to face it, then you can handle it very well. And like during the journey there's only so much you can do because that person is going to be in that like single-minded state. And so it's so much about like really teaching beforehand, and so that they have those tools, and then when they go in they know how to use those tools. Then our providers are there just to make sure they feel safe and supported and be a gentle reminder. But that's how to really create success in my mind and get people to that place where they're like ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Kind of set the stage, and then there's less
Exactly.
to be less unexpected things. Uh,
Exactly.
that was something I learned, is that when I did mushrooms, strange things would happen, and
Yeah.
it would be outside of the realm of my control. It was just something going on that would not have happened otherwise. But the fact that I was on mushrooms, something strange and unusual was happening, and my
Yeah.
space or my environment or whatever was happening
Yeah.
was not controlled, was not
Yeah.
isolated enough. So a lot of free radicals would happen while
Free
Well,
radicals.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a free radical, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gotta watch those free
radicals.
radicals.
Yeah, no doubt. They can be
Sometimes you
radical.
gotta follow them, though. You never know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on the same page. I did maybe 20 like solo journeys before. I even like brewed ayahuasca for myself and
Oh
things like
yeah,
that. And it was like flirting. It was like
right.
flirting with my transformation. It wasn't going all the way.
Yeah,
And until I did a controlled setting, until I did it in the right environment, until I had the intention setting, until like I really held myself and understood what I wanted to get out of the journey, and I accepted everything that kind of happened for me, did I walk through those gateways to see the other side, and the other
right.
side was just immaculate, and
Yeah,
and and like it just made me realize that life is so important and so beautiful, and our purpose is like so divine, and we can ride that wave, and that's our purpose, to just
yeah,
be in alignment with that. And I sort of destroyed everything else at that point. And
mm,
I just wouldn't have had that journey without going through this program. And so the whole structure is super important at doing what these medicines are designed to do.
right.
People call it a controlled setting, and getting people prepared and having professionals to walk through the journey. And I think a mixture of like the science and the divine is a big element of our retreat too, because like we've got these elders that like Charlie and Nirvana are my partners, and they're just absolutely, you ask them a question, you get the answer. And it's an
Yeah,
answer that like, in your heart, and you got to sit with it. And it's just beautiful, and it unlocks you, and it sets you on that next phase of your evolution. And I'm just like, where do these people, like, where does this come from? And it
right.
was years, and I still haven't asked a question and not got an answer.
Yeah,
It was years. And I'm just
yeah,
like, all right, well, these people are designed for this, right? And
right.
so they bring this knowledge with them. And then we have the professional side. We have psychologists and psychotherapists and people that have that level of professionalism and that level of skill and the level of practicality, and the traditional tools which are effective, because they work on the mind. And people need these tools. People need to understand how to control the reactivity, and how to balance emotions, and how to plan out and integrate like a successful and balanced life for themselves. And this is, when you have a combination of these elements, and like the potency of these treatments, it's like, you have a winning team and a winning program.
Yeah, a very probably a very successful, percentage of guests, achieving what they were looking to get
Yeah.
and maintaining it, because
Yeah.
it's very, quote unquote holistic. It's very considering the whole person,
Exactly.
from food to spirituality to their, to their sense in their mind, their concepts. As far as substances, you mentioned ayahuasca. Are there more than psilocybin um, available at the center?
So we do psilocybin as like our treatment. It's much easier on the nervous system, and it's something that is like extremely safe.
Yeah,
There's never been like a death from it or anything like that.
right,
And so you can get the transformation that people are looking for: overcome anxiety, overcome PTSD, overcome addiction with psilocybin. So we really just choose psilocybin because it's a much more like comfortable journey as well. There's like typically not purging.
right.
Um, and, it's something you can get in one session. With ayahuasca, usually you have to do like go through like your,
Yeah,
2 or 3 sessions with it to kind of get the result. And it's usually like one really dark one, one really light one,
yeah,
which is totally fine. But, with the mushrooms, it's kind of all encapsulated, it's
yeah,
like really like 4 segments of an entire journey. It's like the lead up where your body's integrating the medicine. You usually come into a distilled state. You're very calm. You're very relaxed. And then the breakdown, which is like when you break through emotions and you kind of
hmm,
like get back into that core of what you're looking for, that deeper presence, that deeper union, that deeper connection. And then the breakthrough, which is like the third section after you go through the emotions, where that's when you fly. It's when you connect. It's when you see the
yeah,
light and the beauty and your reflection of yourself and that joy that's within. And then the come down, which is just like the reflection time. It's like, you get to just come back into your body, be grateful. Usually people, start talking and start connecting, or, just finding that like balance back in their body again. And that's like predictable. And you kind of get everything in those, like in that cycle of mushroom experience that you get in an ayahuasca experience. But it's just compressed into like a 4 to 6 hour experience, and it's very safe. And so
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
you
And
know
predictable.
for
Yeah.
predictable and safe, and for practical purposes, like that's the winning element. As you want the
Right.
results and you want it in the safest way, then you're going to choose psilocybin.
Yeah. Now that's on a macro dose.
Macro
That's
for sure. Yeah.
very visually or bodily noticeable changes that happen in a definite pattern that happens over and over again. You get access to a place, you then have to reintegrate that access. It's just this nice wave that happens.
Yeah.
On a micro dose, I mean, I don't even know exactly what that would mean as far as quantity amount. I know that a very little goes a long way
Yeah.
with many different things. How do they standardize that, and how and what kind of effect do you get off of a microdose?
Sure. So microdose is, we start with like 200 milligrams, which is like zero point 0.2 grams of actual like dry plant material, which is psilocybin, golden teacher mushroom,
Mm,
and it's like in just a single capsule. And so like everybody kind of starts with that, and that's enough for most people. Some
yeah.
people want to go to like 400 milligrams, which is just two of those capsules. And like it's really considered like it's kind of a general range, but anywhere from like 200 milligrams to like 800 is kind of a traditional microdose.
Okay.
And then like a mini dose is like anything over a gram to like 2 gram, 2.5 grams, and that's going to be like usually a psychedelic experience for people, but not something that you don't have control over, so to
Right.
speak. Where
Right.
it's not like all immersive, where you close your eyes and you're blasting off,
Yeah.
So
Right.
and then the macro is like, all immersive. You're completely within yourself. You're experiencing these other levels, and you're finding the deeper roots of your transformation, and that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the experience of a micro is different for different people, but it's typically like a relaxed energy, like a relaxed kind of just feeling within. Some people describe it as kind of like just being awake, but recognizing that it's sort of a dream while you're
Mm-hmm.
experiencing it. And a lot of people struggle just to feel life, in
Mm.
life. They kind of become
Oh, in
mental, they
general.
become busy, they become like, distracted. What mushrooms do is they help you stay connected with that feeling. And so you stay feeling throughout the day. And so it's like having a tactile sense of the moment when you microdose, and you're able to just sense that feeling as you just walk through your life. And like each step and each vibration, you're more sensitive to around you, and not in a negative way. Like
Yeah.
people often describe that like they're not reactive when they're microdosing. Like they're
Right.
just kind of experiencing the moment, and then things are passing through them because they're not so much in their head. They're not so much analyzing and like predicting the future or worrying about stuff. They're just more connected and allowing life to pass through them, and just to experience things more fully. And that's like a microdose for most people. And like if I microdose, I'm very sensitive, so like it's like a very just enjoyable experience. Like I don't think I'd want to do it every day, because like I really do feel it in a big way, and it's transformational. And like you got to respect those things. They're going to take you to that place where you need to be.
Yeah.
And with mushrooms, you also build up a tolerance over time, which is a very beneficial thing, because it helps kind of it's already pre-installed respect for the medicine, because it just won't work.
Right.
It's
It
one of those things
stops.
that's like it has. They say like after a dose, your tolerance 2x's to the
Mm.
psilocybin,
Mm.
and so it's one of those things where it has like less and less returns the more you take. And so
Right.
we typically only prescribe microdoses like on like either like a 5-day week schedule, or alternating days, things along those lines. And that's to continue the progress they can make for you, while also managing your tolerance to the medicine, so that you don't build up a tolerance to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. So anything under a gram is going to be a micro.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
I know that for me, that first initial wave, that the onset is always accompanied with laughter and giggles and smiling for no reason.
It's great. Yeah. Yeah.
and then usually I've forgotten at that point what's going on. Why am I so smiley?
Yeah.
And then it hits
That's
me at
it, man.
some point. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. I know
I'm
exactly
in
what you're
for
talking
it.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With microdoses under a gram, I don't know that I've done under a gram. I don't know what a stem or a cap would equal. I feel like that would be about a gram. It's probably a microdose, but certain
Yeah.
mushrooms will have more
Quite close.
potency.
Yeah.
You're using the golden healer, is that right?
Yeah, the golden teacher, yeah.
Golden teacher, and that's a pretty potent
Yeah, but
strain of
it's not even close to like one of the highest potencies.
right.
There's other ones that are like much higher that are psilocybin based, and so it's kind of in the middle.
Oh, okay.
But it's like, um, in my opinion, like where it takes you is like really the deeper benefit.
Yeah.
Where like a lot of the potencies depend on like how much you need to take and how it affects your body. A lot of them are, it's kind of the same thing with like cannabis. A lot of them are body high, a lot of them are like mental head high and that sort of thing.
Right. Right.
Um, but with the golden teacher, I mean, I think they call it the Nino Santos in Mexico, where it's
Hmm.
like the the children saints, and they help you connect with like your inner child and heal those deeper elements of your
Hmm.
soul, your spirit, or your life, or to heal that inner child. And as they say, like your life is kind of determined by your subconscious thinking, right? And so people are trying to change their subconscious mind so they can change their reality.
Right.
And that's in fact what mushrooms do. They help you go back to that core of who you are and where you were developed, and then you make changes on that deeper level. And what you have is a perspective shift when you come out of that. And so
Hmm.
now your life is different, your emotions operate differently, and you feel different on a day-to-day basis. And so it's golden teacher is really designed for that deeper healing where it takes you back to that core and helps you understand those levels, and so you can burst outward and be that fresh, like renewed, energetic version of yourself as you move forward.
Right. Yeah. And another reason why you'd want to go to a center, a place, a retreat where they actually know what kind of mushroom it is and potency levels and that sort of thing. Again, predictability being pretty important when you're flying into outer space.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're going to be traversing the astral planes, you want to have some mode of predictability
You're in that
set up.
space if you're right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you said there's other ones that are more potent and other ones obviously that are less potent. Would the experience be similar? Just the dosage would change.
Um, so I get most of this from our clients
Yeah.
that like after they start growing or after they start trying different micros, they'll kind of jump and try different strands and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't have any direct experience. Like I got what I needed, and I'm just like I'm
Yeah.
a sober spirit.
There you
you know
go.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Fantastic.
And
Yeah.
so but I hear that like that different like these mushrooms are more like a body high, like
Right.
you want to do different activities, and they're just microdosing. They're not really doing macrodoses as other
Yeah.
mushrooms, that sort of
Treating as
thing.
a medicine, basically.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I don't know a lot in that area, but I just know it affects you a little bit differently. And then nausea is sometimes like a part of like different like mushrooms that have like higher or lower tendencies to kind of like have like the body sickness and that sort of thing. And so
Right.
there's things
Right.
you can do to mitigate that too as well. Like we do ginger tea, and you can take certain over-the-counter nausea medications to help with that as well that are safe to do with the psilocybin. So and also we do like 6 hours of fasting before in treatments,
Mm.
that helps. I think it's the most effective tool is doing the fasting part.
Fasting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Get everything out of the body. Get it prepared. Yeah.
exactly.
Absolutely. And of course, you have the diet constraints already happening at the center. So there's that
Oh yeah,
guided foundation, which is so important.
yeah.
And as far as for yourself, do you reside down there, or you're seasonal? How do you are you going back and
Yeah, I
forth?
go down about once every 2 months. So I just got back yesterday, and I'm here in Denver. We're looking to
Okay.
open up the same model we have here in Colorado that we do in Sayulita.
Okay. Well, fantastic. So scouting, basically, doing some
Yeah,
scouting
basically getting
for a
property,
center.
getting everything set up. Exactly. Yeah.
Denver has similar laws or allowance, I should say, of
Well,
mushrooms and.
yeah, Denver decriminalized, but they're releasing licenses in schedule, and so
Hmm,
like this summer they're going to release like the applications, and they're going to release the approvals, and they're still releasing legislation about what the requirements are for like wholesaling for healing centers and
right.
dispensaries and things along those lines. And so they haven't actually released all that yet, but it's on a schedule and it's all laid out over the next 2 years. And so yeah, it's just kind of a part of the government rollout right now. They got the board together earlier this year. They're making all these decisions, and so everything's kind of moving forward in like a chronological way as far as full legalization here.
So you're expecting to open soon in Denver within a couple of years?
Well, they haven't. Yeah, yeah, for sure. We'll be open
Yeah,
by the end of 2024.
2024. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Yeah. So right now, the Mexico location is the only location, but
yeah,
this is going to be becoming a new sister location in
yeah,
Denver.
for
That's
sure.
great. That's great. Yeah. And as far as for people to find the center and get more information, scheduling, that sort of thing, where can they find you?
Yeah, best place is going to be on our website, sayulitawellnessretreat.com. And it's Sayulita.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I'll have it in the description too. That way, it's a
Yeah, for
little.
sure. Nobody says it
So,
right. I mean, it doesn't
yeah.
matter.
Yeah. Say or spell, right? It's.
Exactly.
That's great. And is there a waiting period or um,
I
is
mean, yeah,
there
we
a.
sell out. Like, I think three of our retreats are sold out in May here. And yeah, we always sell out. We're selling dates for 2024 already. So
Wow.
um, basically, you just like kind of lose options the longer you wait as far as
Right.
your scheduling, that sort of thing's concerned.
So a year in advance is a good approach.
Yeah, we have a lot of
Some
people
preparation.
booking out for 2024 right now. So yeah, definitely. It's like, plan out your journey.
Right, right. Plan it out. And what is there a slow time if somebody wanted less people there or less activity, more availability? Is there a certain month like August or something like that that is
Yeah, we do really small groups, and so all of our groups are like 4 to 6 people, and
okay?
so you're always going to have an intimate setting here, and we really designed it this way. It's incredibly impactful, and we have these groups of people come together from all walks of life that create meaningful relationships with these experiences, and like a amazing huge group of like a support system for everyone that's graduated with us. It's like we have a group chat that is literally buzzing every single day with just the most positive like support, and everyone sharing their journey and their experiences. And so it's really community that you get to join when you come on board, and it's like a lifetime family. And
Yeah,
it's like you only
awesome.
get that after going through it. And I mean, I'm just like one of them.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like I'm
And
just
you're
one of
like,
them.
yeah, I'm in.
I'm like, my whole life has changed, and this is like I hear this every single day. And I've personally, with my own eyes, just seen hundreds of people go through the same transformation. Because like I could have been just been a fluke. I
Right,
could have
right.
just been like ready or whatever. And man, I've just seen like just like last week we had this veteran go through, um, and I did a case study on him because we have a whole veterans project. It's a
Hmm,
501c3 to help veterans with these treatments,
excellent.
um, and yeah, like he couldn't even keep it together emotionally. He was crying on his like before video, going through suicidal ideation, just seeing only the darkness, not seeing a bright future, like
Right.
or any potential for like a future with his family and his life and things like that. And I was going through this for like 20 years, treatment resistant
Wow.
depression and
Yeah.
complex PTSD. And I was just like, hey man, all you gotta do is just bring your brain and your body, my friend. It's
Yeah.
just like, I
Right.
was talking for like 3 or 4 weeks out. And he's like, you got anything closer? You got anything sooner? I was like we
Right.
just don't, like we're sold out. Like nobody's giving up their space. You know what I'm
Super
saying? Like
desperate.
I even
Yeah.
called around. I was like, does anybody want to switch? And yeah, everybody just wanted to stay. And I was like, you just gotta wait, man. He ended up inviting his sister to come down too, and she had an incredible experience. But I just had his after case study
Hmm,
last week, and it was about 30 days after his treatment. And
yeah.
man, he's just like, dude, he just is rocking. He's like, dude, I've been the happiest I've been in my life. You know,
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
I just have peace every single day. He's relaxed. Like, he couldn't even look at the camera for like we did
Mm,
a 15-minute before case study video, And like now
Wow.
he's just smiling. Like he won't stop smiling. Like he's
That's
doing a
awesome.
triathlon. Like one of his old sponsors called him. He's like, let me sponsor you to do this Alcatraz triathlon. He's like, yeah, I'm down. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he sent me pictures like yesterday of him like getting pictures of Hootie and the Blowfish and like lead singer from Lit. Like he's going to concerts with
Yeah.
his wife. Like he's just like the life of the party. And I'm just like, man,
Wow.
like I mean, I just see this all the time. I see people go through
Yeah.
this all the time of just like a lifetime just be renewed and refreshed. And that's exactly what he said. He sent me these pictures. He's like, new lease on life, man.
Oh,
And
it's
like,
powerful.
and we hear this every day. Like
Yeah.
I'm not joking. Like I have to send people like video, you know, the video screenshot of like our group chat because it literally is every single day.
Oh
Like
my
there isn't
goodness.
a day where it's not people just being like, dude, I love life.
Oh,
And
that's
you know, the
great.
people that like, you know, we had another guy come down. He brought his own security guard. You know, his name was Butch.
Yeah.
We had Butch and like, you know, like like in the like one of the bedrooms. And we're just like, what do we do? Like this
Right.
guy's a big biker dude. You know, he's biggest, you know, really successful entrepreneur, biggest plumbing company in Arkansas,
Yeah.
and you know, lived his whole life from anger and just dissatisfied and just didn't, you know, appreciate the success he created. Went through this experience and just he said he saw that he was beautiful on the inside. His
Wow.
big beard, you know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. You're like,
it
yep.
just fell in love.
You too.
He will not shut up about like how life is beautiful now. He's
That's
like, I see the
awesome.
beauty in everything. He's like, you got to live with an open heart. He's like an evangelist now
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's in the group every single day, just, you know, just telling stories and just telling them today's insight about life and how good things are getting and how it keeps getting better. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
That's fantastic. That's powerful. You know, and that's something that would hook you. You
yeah,
know.
I still want to get Butch down because he didn't want to go through the treatment.
Oh
I
no.
think Butch is ready too.
Yeah. 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 That's something. I mean, and it's all walks of life, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
just, you know, you name it. People are going
mostly
through
women.
things.
Yeah, mostly
Okay.
women.
Yeah.
Um, for whatever reason, but I think women are always a little more open minded.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're mostly women, and but everybody, you know, we've got two couples coming down this week. A lot of couples come together and go through that process for different reasons, usually. And you mentioned addiction. A lot of people come down to break addiction to alcohol,
Right.
addiction to opiates, addiction to, you know, cigarettes, nicotine, which is like just as destructive. It just takes longer.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people with eating disorders recently as well. We had a
Mm-hmm.
sweet woman come down recently. An incredible experience breaking through, you know, eating disorder and depression, that sort of thing. And so,
Yeah.
you know, just a lot of different walks of life and a lot of different things that people are looking for solutions for.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's, you know, everybody needs, um, everybody needs support at some point in their life on a lot of different
Yeah,
things. And I find it's really interesting how many different places, when you're in touch with uh, psilocybin,
yeah,
or even you know, just a really good vacation with a focused approach for spiritual self-discovery.
yeah,
You know, that so much can come out of that, and basically giving to yourself in a sense,
yeah,
because a lot of people give a lot to other people, but not themselves. They
yeah,
get really lost in time travel, going forward or backward in
yeah.
their mind,
Great
you
way to put
know,
it.
and bumping into
Yeah,
who knows what while they're doing it. I mean, they
yeah,
wonder why they get in these vortexes, and it's like, well, you've been thinking about what for however long, you know,
yeah,
and thinking about the past. You're just getting lost in the past. That's a crazy place to get lost in.
yeah,
There's a lot of things that are back there, um, you know, and then they have to live their life doing all of those things,
hmm,
and then they compound it by doing it over and over again and
yeah,
over and over again, and then that
yeah,
habit. And I find it funny that you know, you think of, you know, initially I did as well, you think of psychedelics in general as being a recreational, another habit, another drug, or something like that. And it's, I mean, in a way it can be very recreational, but
hmm,
the the action, that the thing that specifically for me, for mushrooms, the action, there's so much more value in it in a way as medicine versus as a substance to abuse, as it were, or use for recreational purposes. There's so much positive things that come out of it
Yeah.
versus, drinking, for an example,
Yeah.
alcohol, another substance that intoxicates, and it transforms you too, but it
Yeah.
does a different thing. And then of course it can be abused, and if it's abused, it
Yeah.
does, very, there are, very bad things to the body, and all sorts of things come out of that. Like you said, mushrooms, I think people assume, like, well, it's poison and it's poisoning you, and that's the experience that you're having, is this, chemical reaction, and, very scientific approach to look at it. But I don't know,
Yeah.
like you said, I don't think there's been ever a death from it. I think you throw up if you eat too much of it.
Yeah. You got to eat like 1,000 times your
It's a
regular
lot.
dose.
Yeah, I knew a guy
Really
that ate
bad.
a whole
And like, who's
strainer
gonna
of them.
do like how much food can you eat? You know,
Yeah, I mean, you get sick eating anything, right?
can you eat 1,000 plates of mushrooms?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, the only thing I've ever seen anybody go through is throwing up. And they
Yeah.
eat as they were their goal was to eat as much as possible, and they ate a lot, and they puked, and then they had
Yeah.
a wild experience. But
Yeah. I can
um,
imagine.
that's abuse. There's no need to do all that. That's just having fun, right?
Yeah.
But there's so much that can happen. I'm very intrigued in the microdose because of all of this stuff that I'm hearing about its use with PTSD and trauma.
Yeah.
And I know that on a larger dose, it definitely um, causes a breakthrough, shifts the mind, shifts the patterns, takes you out of whatever you're going through, gives you another view, and puts you back to reintegrate all of that.
Yeah.
Um, I think, like you said, people's world, when they go back to their world, then they have to readjust to either belittle the experience that they had so that they can become the person that they were, or they can transform and they can change. A lot of people will belittle it and say, "Well, yeah, I had a lot of fun," but the support that you guys give afterward, I feel like, is very valuable because it's an extension to say we're
Yeah.
still here, it's still
Yeah.
going. Welcome
Yeah.
to the club, or whatever.
Yeah.
In whatever regard, it's to say that what you experienced was real, the benefits are real,
Yeah.
and they can keep happening. There's
Yeah.
no need to shift back into the old regular patterns. Cigarettes being probably a really difficult one to conquer for a lot of people because it's so everywhere.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think like, you know, mushrooms are really helpful just seeing, you know,
yeah,
going deep enough just to see. And I think when you see, you can't really unsee. It's like part of your life and part of your experience.
right.
And I think people just need to see, like, when it comes to addiction, the benefits of what that life looks like on the other side and the detriments and how it's affecting people. And we see that a lot in the reflection of people going through that addiction overcoming process, is that they see from the different perspectives of how their choices are affecting their life. And when the mind understands that and doesn't look through that very like single pointed way, the mind just naturally has a tendency to change, because it's a very much like a qualitative and qualitative machine. It wants to feel good and wants to do good ultimately for itself and for others ultimately as well.
Yeah,
And so as it sees like, that the suffering, and it sees the effects of that, and it sees that it's not actually worth it, and it brings that conversation and those truths to the light, then it naturally starts to make a change, and it starts to make that shift. And if you like look at traditional therapy, and you look at, you know talking with someone that's going through an addiction, those truths are like in a place of usually denial, where they're not willing to look at it, and then experience, you get to see it around the corner, and you get to see all those different angles, and you get to see how much people love you, and how much loving yourself can bring, your life to a better place. And like all these different realities start to really cement inside you. And when you come out of it, you are a changed person, and you don't have that addiction anymore, because the addiction was a limitation in your ability to see yourself, a limitation in your ability to see from a fresh perspective. And after you see from that more global or more expanded perspective, you make decisions from that place too. And so like you hear people say is like, I saw the thing, like I remember having to reach for that thing, but I don't feel like I need that thing anymore. And so they go on this different path, this different journey, and they have those values instilled of how important and what they're going to see and perceive as they move forward in their life, and how that's going to benefit them and their family and their loved ones. And that's a very natural thing that we see quite often through the breakthroughs for addiction, and it's super helpful. And like it really applies to everything in life, like our bad habits or just our kind of negative beliefs or negative viewpoints on things, or the problems we have in relationships are just, it comes from a lack or a limited perspective. And then we're able to see past that perspective with mushrooms and see further than like our day-to-day perspective and how we see ourselves. And so it helps the identity really radically shift. And then after that's shifted, you have all the new options available, and the new life available for yourself.
Yeah, I like that. It's seeing further by seeing further into yourself.
Exactly.
Like you said, it's the inner child. It's the tree sensing the sapling on the inside.
Yeah.
That sense of where you started. Getting in touch with the core of you. Where these traumas started. Seeing
Yeah.
them from a perspective of truly a sober perspective.
Exactly.
It's an off look. It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense, but you're coming from the future looking to the past. You have a sober perspective on the trauma that happened in the past, whether you're on a psychoactive or not. Your ability to go back and view it is coming from a place that's not experiencing it directly in the moment. So you have an
Exactly.
outside perspective basically on your own life.
Yeah. If
you
you
know
imagine like a car running on like flat tires, like those tires being like that trauma, because it's just like,
yeah,
that's how your thinking like has existed for such a long period of time. And then you
right,
just look at it and you recognize like this is just a part of my journey, a part of myself, and it doesn't determine my decision making. And you start to
yeah,
see it objectively, and you get to put it on a shelf, or you get to just watch it disappear. And we
yeah,
hear this so often. This is my experience, is like that deep pain I was living from that motivated my life, my business, my career, my decisions, made me like not love myself, whatever those things were. I was like, I just looked into it. And then just like, when I looked at it, it just dissolved it. Like it wasn't my truth anymore. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
right,
and then like there was softness beneath it. And that's true for everybody. And so once we look at those things, they don't define us. We just shed those layers of ourself, and then we're running on all four tires, and we're cruising again.
right, yeah. And it has this and that's the hope. And I think that when you shift your perspective, um, there's a natural inclination for the perspective to go back to where it was. But being that it has moved, it's always
Yeah.
going to have the ability to move again. It's kind of like the tool. You've used the tool, now you have the ability to use it again and again, and leave the space, put air in the tires. If you're looking at it like get the car to roll forward a little better than on flat tires. There's so much to it, and there's a lot of analogies that you could apply to it. But that perspective change, I think, is really important.
Yeah.
The life that you think you are, and then the actual life that you are, and then there's the potential of all the things that you could be. All these different avenues that you could take. Um, for yourself, you said that you were dealing with a lot of anxiety,
Mhm.
and was this from like a work related thing that you had going on? It was
I mean, like it really started like one night, like when I was 29 years old. I'm 39 now. And then I started to experience like paranoia and anxiety kind of started for me. Like I never really
mm-hmm.
experienced it before. And then it kind of snowballed. Like I got into like started just working in businesses. I had two roofing companies, and I was working like 12 hours a day for years perpetually. And like those things didn't help the condition. And just I think like if you don't like work on something or fix something, it tends to compound in your life. And I think I see
Right.
a lot of people like go through that process of just like not really going back to that core of what caused that, and like finding themselves out of balance, and then just kind of building on an unstable foundation. That's sort of what I did.
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, I spent like 120 grand in hospitals. Like
Yeah.
hospital wasn't really going to help me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I
Right.
talked to like the head of the psychiatric division. She's like, I don't know what to do for you, homie. Like, and she's the best of the best is like, the best hospital in the Midwest, like
Yeah.
no joke, and I went through a lot of people that said, I don't know what to do for you,
Right.
and unfortunately, it's just kind of like the modern medical scope of like, hey, you can take medicine or you can, take, continual therapy for 10 years and maybe get a result, maybe not. A lot of people don't,
Right.
I've got a friend, he does like, he works with some of the most like high performance people in the world. He's like, he's a psychotherapist in LA, works with executives only. And he's a 2 out of 20 success rate is what he shared with me. Like
2 out
2
of
out of
20.
20. And he
Wow.
knows this. He's been doing this for decades. And
Like what,
every
10%?
single new client that he takes on, he knows that 18 out of 20 are not going to succeed at their goals with him.
Hmm.
And,
Yeah, that's
this is
rough.
one of the best. You know
Was
what
it
I'm saying?
5%? A 5%?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, 10%.
Something like that.
Yeah,
10,
yeah,
10 or
yeah.
5%, something like that. Yeah, 10%. It's not
I
great.
don't know why I didn't say 1 out of 10,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's
1
2
out
out
of
of
10.
20. Yeah, for sure. It's 2 out of 20. But like
Wow.
that's in rehab is like 14% success rate with rehab,
Yeah.
and that's like extremely cost prohibitive solution. It's one of the highest tiers as far as expenses when it comes
Yeah.
to like
And it's
getting solutions
approved.
for her addiction.
It's approved method too.
Yeah.
An approved, court approved method to treat things, and it's 14%. It's like, oh
Yeah.
boy.
AA is like between 7 and 9%.
Yeah, it's really
Um,
low. Yeah. I
yeah.
had a guest on actually recently, and that's um, his whole, I don't know, fight of awareness is to tell people to, AA isn't going to do it for you.
I think
Yeah.
with anything, it's kind of launch pad, and I
Yeah,
think, therapy is a launch pad. You have to,
exactly.
you have to really dive deeper within yourself. You have to live your life,
Right.
understand your values. And, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just like the solutions just are kind of, they're out there, but there's nothing that's really met the success rate with psilocybin.
Right. Well, and that's
Yeah.
also approved for eons as a method
Yeah.
for tribal care, you
Yeah,
know, like
exactly.
medicine to get your head straight.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think we're also
Yeah.
trying to like solve the problem with the problem. Um,
Yeah.
like humans are meant to be in nature. We're meant to be,
Right.
we're meant to be social animals, and putting people into hospitals, putting people in isolation, putting people in medication that doesn't help them express themselves. It puts a
Right.
blanket over their head. We continue to cause the problem, so to speak.
Yeah.
And we do it with like by thinking that institution and other ideas like are going to fix it. It's going to be like I don't know, like the same philosophy, the same values that cause a problem are the experts in this field, which isn't a negative thing. It's just everybody doing their best.
It's everybody doing their
um,
best. Yeah.
and so that's why I believe it's a merger of like all these things. You've got to have the
Yeah.
structure. Like we've got a team, we've got a process, we've got a program, we've got preparation, we've got aftercare, and we've got this whole thing built out like a medical facility. Well, we are a medical facility,
Yeah.
but we don't have to be. We choose to be because it's what
Right.
gets results. And
Well, yeah.
and so I think everybody should be, a medical facility, to a degree, because like we're solving really deep medical problems, and we have to do it with a level of professionalism and have the level of expertise, or like, specialize in one thing and get really good at one thing, specialize in like, smoking cessation and just like go down that
Mm-hmm.
path. And like, there's a very little risk with that. And so I think things will happen like that. There'll be specialists like with these types of treatments. But in my experience, you really don't get those results unless you have the entire thing built out, and the support system, and the other elements. And like the secret is what we're really doing is like helping people raise their vibration where they're just not attracted to their old life anymore. And
Right.
that's just
Right.
it.
Yeah.
And the medicine helps do that, and the other therapies really help do that. I think the connection with our team, I think having all the right people there and having those new bonds, new relationships,
Yeah.
and all those reminders to for people to really live their life fully. and find that next level for them and commit to it. That's really what like our system's all about, and helping them maintain that. And so you've got to have like a community with that. You've got to have accountability, and you've got to have like the support to do that. And so, like having all these elements in combination with the psilocybin is really like a key to success, and is what anybody's going to have to do to like really maintain their success in this space.
Right. Yeah. And it's very important. I like how you said a launch pad, because that's really the way I see
Yeah.
it. It's like, get yourself to a place of stability for a moment, and then work to find a really good rounded approach. AA is good to arrest the situation that you have going on in the
Yeah.
moment. It's only going to get you as far as that. That's how it is designed. So if
Yep.
you're there for 20 years, you've really just put the first step on the journey.
Yep.
You're in the rest position where you're just like, okay, all good, stable,
Yeah.
or not, but a lot of the therapies are like that.
Yeah.
Get to a place where you're observing yourself, and then what? Then you need to do more things, nutrition, and of course, getting your head straight can be something that involves a psychoactive to,
Yeah.
um, you know, get rid of the garbage, get rid of the junk in there that's been just
Yeah.
collecting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something.
One of
Do
the
you?
one of the like just the kind of side effects of
Yeah,
people after they go through this is like changing their diet, changing the exercise routine,
right.
uh, changing their body type. Like so many people lose weight after going through the retreat.
Yeah,
And like I just think, and like that's something that like this is for everybody. This is kind of across the board.
yeah,
And it's just a personal choice that they make. And so I think this is a unique symptom to kind of just observe and look at like what happens when people change who they are is they make different decisions in their
right,
path of life. And those decisions like help integrate, their whole of their life experience when they start eating better foods, they exercise more, they spend more time in nature, and they spend more time with their family, spend more time. This is probably the number one thing I see people do, is like they go from this perspective, they live their life for business, for their job, for their family, for whatever. They come to this retreat and they live their lives for themselves, and they recognize that they are the center of this, and they make themselves that number one priority. That's the number one thing I see, and I say that because I think that's what most people need. And
yeah,
so people get what they need when they come to an experience like this, and that's the shift and that's the change I see. And so, ask yourself, like, if are you like putting yourself first in your life? Like, if so, you will naturally become a server, because you will
right.
find that you serve yourself and serving others, and you can only help others when you help yourself. And so that's the main thing we see people make a change in their life is doing that, shifting into self first, and then supporting themselves through those types of activities of diet, their profession, their career. And a lot of people with treatment resistant depression like aren't even working, haven't been able to work in sometimes decades, and they go back home and they're like, I got so much stuff to do in so little time.
Yeah,
So they just like get to it, and they share
yeah,
those results, and you find fulfillment in creating something that you find valuable, and contributing to something that's meaningful to you and to others. And it's in that like those new habits that are formed after the experience that people experience a permanent life change.
yeah. And it's a tune-up. You could look at it
Yeah.
like sometimes you need help. You don't know where to start.
Yeah.
You find this retreat, and you learn, oh, okay, this is a better way to eat. I didn't know that, or
Yeah.
I had forgotten that, or I got off the train, and now here we are. Okay, now I
Yeah.
know I need to be doing these food groups. I need to really zero in on what's making me feel good,
Yeah.
and
And,
for me, and of
yeah.
course
And
that's always the way it is.
think how many years of therapy it takes to change your diet, to change your exercise routine, to change your perception on yourself, to overcome
Right.
depression and anxiety. Like, just think if like you took all of those things and they're just like, hey, can I solve these problems? Your therapist is gonna be like, silence, one thing at a
Well,
time. Yeah, like
they don't
what
cover it all.
happened in start, going
They
in
don't
and like,
cover it.
yeah, and like,
They don't cover nutrition typically if they're working with the mind. That's
yeah,
the problem with specialization, which is good to be specialist in certain regards, but in reality, we should need to become more generalists, where we gain more feathers. When we gain more knowledge on different aspects to make ourselves and those around us more whole, so that
Yep.
we do approach a person in a more holistic way, a body, the
Yep.
mind, the emotions, the spirit, so we're able to access for that person, for ourselves, the ability to adjust multiple different aspects of a person. And if you're getting it through a collective of people, a community, fantastic, because then you're able to attach yourself to that community and become
Yep.
part of it.
Yep.
Even like yourself, now you put yourself into it,
Yep.
fully, saying I'm invested. I'm doing this.
Yeah.
That shows for you and for others that know your story, that power of this transformation, that took you from where you were to who you are now. And you have great energy, so, and you seem to have a lot of energy and a good spirit. And that, shows that for you, your path, your self-discovery, and your time there has really been beneficial. You
Let
say
me, let me
proof
try,
in action.
with the energy thing. I
Yeah,
mean, like you say these things, it's like you have no choice.
yeah,
You have no choice. Like after you go through this, you have no choice. It's your
right,
life now.
right.
You give yourself freely, like because you just like there's nothing else to do. It's like I got a
Yeah,
call from one of our veterans. He graduated like 4 months ago or something, and like he went to Vegas. He's been to Mexico a couple times. He's been traveling. He just got second in CrossFit.
mm,
Like
yeah,
he's 49 years old and he's like beating
wow,
these like 21-year-old kids at like this incredible sport. And he's like rehab. He sold 2 houses. Like everything's just lined up in his life. He got his wife back. They were going through separation when he went through the treatment.
mm,
And he calls me. He's like, hey man, like I blame this all on you. he's like, I he's like, I can't stop. He's like, I can't
yeah,
stop growing. I can't stop my evolution. Like I can't stop, going all out. It's like, he just bought like a 4x4,
mm,
like Can-Am. He's like, you're coming to the desert with me. I'm like, all right, let's go, dude.
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so
Yeah,
it's just like, I mean, I hear this all the time, and it's like, you know, um, it's like it's your life. It's really who you're designed to be. I think it's like a reconnection with the same vitality you had as a child,
right,
and then you
right.
get to live with that level of creativity and those level of ideas, and then like you have this energy that you can't stop.
Yeah,
And like you don't run out of energy. Like I swear to God, like you just don't. I mean, um, I went running this past week. I'm training for this like what is it, like a half Ironman. My friends invited
mm,
me, and then they all backed out. So now I'm like stuck with this thing.
wow.
And I just went
They all
running. I
backed
was
it.
going to see how far I could run, and I ran for 75 miles. And
Ooh,
like I was like, I don't think my body is going to stop. Like I swear to God, I
yeah,
don't run out of energy. And I was like, I had to
wow,
just stop. Like I don't think that it stops. Like and
yeah,
like, dude, I couldn't run at 37. I couldn't run a
right,
quarter mile.
yeah.
And I mean, I use that as like a metaphor because it's just unlimited. I mean, I don't understand.
It's change.
I
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I could give you different words and stuff, but I wouldn't know how to explain it.
right, right.
But I
Yeah, and
see
that's
it
the
in a
thing.
lot of people that go through this, and it's just such a gift. It's such a
Yeah,
gift.
and it's proof. And I think that you're living the proof. You are the living proof, and that's kind of what others have to see and to work off of, is to say, okay, what are the benefits? And you say, I have been through this. I have been through this, and this is what I've
Oh
experienced. This
yeah,
is what
man.
I'm experiencing.
I remember lying in bed for 6 months. My parents were so worried about me. I was like
Mm,
34 years old or something, and like I just couldn't move.
yeah,
Like I understood what depression was finally. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like finally,
right.
I didn't when I'm glad I did though, because like I didn't know that like so many of the people in the world were experiencing that. Because when you hit that vibrational level of just like, man, I have nothing going for
Yeah,
me except for like sharing memes with my friends.
yeah,
I was like, the only thing I got brightness from. Like I was
right.
just like, oh my God, and I saw everyone else that felt that way, and I
Mm,
was just like, oh my God, like I never knew that. I just
right.
didn't know that. And I developed compassion, and I developed like a charge in my spirit that time that I was gonna like make sure that like the shit is conquered at some point for
Yeah,
me, and then like for the rest of the world as well, because like everybody deserves to experience a life of freedom and a life of joy. And that's what, like, I talked about, like, that deep pain melted inside me. And like, I literally sat there for like a month. I was like, I do not know what to do. Like, I swear to God, I was like, what should I do? Like, I have inner peace,
Right.
That's the same thing. Travis, he's the guy that took the pictures of Hootie and Blowfish last, a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, man, like, but I found is like, you could live your life for joy. It's like you do things you enjoy, and you live your life to expand and spread love. And I was like, is that obvious? Like, I don't know, man. Like, that was just such like, like, maybe that should have been obvious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, as a man, like, we're supposed to suffer or something. I don't know. But I just found out that you're supposed to give, and you're supposed to give freely, and you're supposed to love, and you're supposed to love unconditionally. And that happens when you just stop judging yourself and stop judging others. And like, the mushrooms just teach you to love unconditionally, because they are love. I don't know how to explain it, but it shows you that you are love and that you have that beauty inside. And like, once you recognize it, like, yeah, you can turn away from it, but it's still there. It still energizes you. It still lifts you up. And you still get to enjoy your life and do things that you love to do. And it's just a forever revolving door, I think.
Yeah. And it's wild. People hearing this or seeing this will be like, whatever. And I still don't, and they still won't get it.
I know.
That transformation can happen in 4 days, or something like that.
Yeah, most people 4 days. Yeah, it's crazy.
A whole life.
Like Butch and his
reboot.
Butch and Josh, the entrepreneur, is a 4-day, and that's what it takes, And then, like, that's it.
Yeah, it could take 4, could take 8, but likely it could happen in a very small.
You have to stretch it out.
A long weekend, we say.
If you do the week-long one, it's like you get the transformation, then you get a honeymoon. That's what I call it.
Right. You still get the benefit of the 4-day with an extra couple. And it's a resort, so it's like you said, gated community. It's beautiful. Ocean views.
You're on security guards. I mean, it's just gorgeous. You feel like a freaking butterfly just coming out of its cocoon while you're there. I like leaving there. I don't want to let go. I mean, it's just, there's so much love there. It's just like everyone. I mean, just like just comes in and just like takes care of you. It's just so supportive. You get to eat like this incredible food. You're just watching the sunrise and the sunset every single day. Like, it's got its own private beach. You're just like, you get on the beach and like, I don't know, it's just beautiful. And so
it's like a dream.
Yeah, I know. Like, I was kind of joking. I was doing these to come down and like for business trips, and I was like, I think I only did like 45 minutes of business this trip, and I was down for like a whole week. I was like, what's going on?
I
was like, do I need to put this in my schedule? I was like, yeah.
Right. And that brings us to, a very important thing for a lot of people is, the accessibility as far as costs goes.
Yeah.
What kind of range or packages or, what are you working with as far as for people's needs and abilities to get this help?
Yeah. So for the whole program, the price ranges from like $4,997 anywhere up to like $14,997 for like a platinum package. And that's like doing everything, it's a private, private plane through the whole like area. It's like a private yacht for the sunset cruise, and it's an incredible experience, And then the $4,997 is the 4-day. So that's like the base package of the transformation, and it's what most people go through, and it's incredibly, impactful and transformative. And so that's what we do for our experiences.
Yeah. So you have other excursions and things like that people.
Yeah, for sure. We've got like a whole scale thing. I mean, you can go skydiving with us if you want. There's we have like there's incredible dinners. We have like with like a little boat cruise on an island, and there's a lot of like fun stuff to do. And we have a lot of people come from like all walks of life, and they want to experience like that vacation element with the transformational experience. And so we have that as an option, and it's an amazing time. And a lot of people come through that like want to do the bucket list stuff, and a lot of couples come through that just want to kind of treat themselves and go through that the interstellar experience of like a mushroom experience and transform and, go to that next level in their lives. And, a lot of people experience anxiety or just want to reset. We have a lot of
Yeah.
like executives come down looking for just a reset and are going through like a phase in their career. A lot of people come down after a divorce, or some people come down to like rekindle a marriage. And so, they help really reboot their lives and reset
Right.
their nervous system and find that deeper sense of self and well-being within themselves. And everybody wants like to do different options and stuff like that. And so we have a lot of like other things like horseback riding and things like that we use to complement the experiences and just help people experience like the time of their life.
Yeah, it's like a vacation, and an experience, an adventure and a vacation.
Exactly, yeah.
With a great outcome, which is, a resolution perhaps to a world or a life full of troubles, which is just, who could ask for more?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's
it's a
great.
dream. It's a dream. It's
Yeah.
it's learning to fly again.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and, giving us the full download on the facilities and the program there. And I really do hope that somebody's out there looking and in need of transformation, of a change, a radical change in their life, that they look this up and consider it.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful time in Denver.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks
And,
for having me
and,
on. This has
and when
been
you get that
awesome.
set up, I want you to come back on too, because then we can talk about what you have there.
100%. Yeah, we got a couple of things going on here, so I'll be happy to share once they're launched, and I think that'd be great. I would love to see you again.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Take care. Yep.
See
Bye
you.
bye.